And now let's focus again on Ukraine and the eastern flank of NATO, all those issues combined in our next conversation with Professor Alberto Coll from DePaul University College of Law. Good to have you.
Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us. Sir, I want to ask you about Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. He sharply criticized Olaf Scholz for not providing German-made Taurus cruise missiles. And my question is it fair? I mean, Zelenskyy also said that Germany does not want to provide it because they want to keep it for themselves in case of Russia's aggression, if Russia just spreads its aggression further. Now, my question is it fair to criticize Germany when they just, provided Ukraine with a couple of Patriot batteries and other aid? What is your take on that?
So, we have to remember that Zelenskyy is the leader of a country that is besieged. It's a country that's very close to collapse. Ukraine is really on the border of being overrun by Russia. And they're about to lose their sovereignty unless they're able to fight with the kind of weaponry that they need. And so part of Zelenskyy's job is to tell the allies, look, I'm really grateful for the aid you're giving me. And Zelenskyy has told the Germans many times, including Chancellor Scholz, about how grateful they are for all the weaponry that Germany's providing. But at the same time, part of his job is to say, hey, we need more. And those Taurus missiles would be very, very useful for long-range strikes. The British and the French missiles don't have as long a range. And the Americans' ATACMS that are just being provided now, I think actually open the door for Germany to provide Taurus missiles as well. So that's part of the job of a leader, or a political leader, or a head of state, when your country is being pulverized by Russia, and there's a real danger of losing that war. So he has to remind Chancellor Scholz, look, you really need to give us those. You should give us those. You really have no excuse. And
well, hopefully Olaf Scholz understands that.
Yeah, and I think also you have to give credit where it's due. I think it was just in that meeting in Berlin, right, with Mr. Stoltenberg, Secretary General of NATO, who said very much praising Germany as the biggest defense spender and biggest ally there in terms of material for Ukraine and Europe. Just quickly, because we also have reports, there's been about 9,000 guided missiles and bombs that have been struck against Ukraine by Russia since the beginning of this year. Russia has made inroads, for instance, pushing into Avdiivka, pushing Ukrainians back because of the lack of ammunition, because of the lack of material that Ukraine has. We know now Sweden is a new member state of NATO. We know now apparently the Swedes are sending more troops, or rather the first division, or I think about 600 troops early next year to Latvia. How much does this affect now as Russia makes these tiny gains? How does it affect the eastern flank right now? Will we see another deployment potentially of NATO allies?
By the way, just one last minor point. It's not only Zelenskyy who has criticized Chancellor Scholz. Some of Chancellor Scholz's own coalition partners, including leading members of the Green Party, have criticized his reluctance to provide Taurus missiles. Now, regarding the eastern flank, clearly the Nordic countries will play a key role in this. Sweden has a very well-trained, very capable military force. And by putting those forces in Latvia, Sweden is saying any Russian incursion against Latvia will lead to Swedish troops being killed, and that means Sweden will be part of that conflict. Sweden will not stay out of that conflict. That's a very important statement. Right now, I think that countries like the Baltic states, Poland, the Czechs, and others realize that they're extremely vulnerable because Russia may test. And we see that already with Russian missiles going into Polish airspace, crossing Polish airspace. That's a way for Russia to test the boundaries. And so therefore, the alliance has to send a very clear signal that this will not be tolerated. And that's part of why Sweden is putting its troops there, to show that it really means business, that it's now a full-fledged member of NATO willing to take the risks that come with that membership. Very positive step.
Positive step indeed, but yet it's still going to make a lot of people concerned. But good signal, as you said, good allies that have the advanced weaponry, the experience to help this alliance as we face off Russia and that threat. We'll close it there. Professor Alberto Coll, thank you so much for your insights. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.